What are our top 10 PlayStation games?
Let's find out.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Triangle Squared. As you might have noticed, for viewers who can see us on the YouTubes, we have nice new microphones.
Audio listeners will
individual
hear us.
Microphones. For those who listen to us in audio-only format, you may notice that my smooth voice sounds a little more clear than usual.
Chocolatey.
So anyway, with episode 10, since we've been doing this for a while, and it doesn't seem like a whole long time, but 10 episodes, 10 weeks.
Right.
It seems like a long time when you've been doing it like this. But we started the giveaway, and basically this is our form of doubling down on this podcast and kind of putting our faith in it. We've been having fun with it. It seems like people are liking it, and doesn't matter how many, we got some that like it. You covered my face, you jackass.
Let's make the quality better.
Yeah, so we're going to just keep trying to do the production values a little bit higher. For those who have stuck with us from the beginning, thank you. And for those who are just now joining us, I hope you enjoy. So, first things first, we had a giveaway that we announced last episode.
We did.
And with that giveaway, we were giving away a copy of Nier Automata sealed for the PS4 and a cup that has Triangle Squared branding on it. If you can see it, it's nice and pretty.
Very sexy. Works very, very well.
It keeps your drinks cold and or hot. Not and/or, because it can't keep them cold and hot at the same time. I apologize. That was kind of dumb of me. But regardless, we have a winner. We're recording on a Thursday because I'm going on vacation. So
there is no
drop
this week.
It's a little weird. There's no drop, and news is going to be, it's going to miss some stuff. I already know one of the things is there's a Need for Speed full reel coming tomorrow.
We're going to have these episodes every now and then. It'll be very rare, but shouldn't be.
But I had to get my vacay on. So, to not waste too much more time, we're going to go ahead and announce the winner. So, let's go and do the little random number generator and find out who wins. Doo-doo-doo.
985 contestants entered for this.
No, that's not at all what it's saying. There was 985 entries.
That's not just entries. Okay, not contestants, not singular contestants, but we had
I think it was 100 and something.
So 150 people or something like that.
Yeah. So, with that being said, it looks like our winner is Samuel Ivan Hummel.
Boy.
Now what it is at yahoo.com. If I'm not mistaken, this is Mr. Sam Nizzle Plays.
You're probably correct on that.
Okay. We're going to message you. I'm probably going to message you on Facebook because I think I've seen you because you live in Ashdown. That's very, very close to us. So that's about 20, 30 minutes out.
Yeah.
So we will contact you about how you want to go about getting the Gaming Cup. If we need to mail it to you, just let us know. If you're going to be in town, I don't know if you ever come this way, but if you're going to be in town, let us know.
We could do a meetup. Yep.
You're going to have to work through Mr. Dealer Saw here. I can be a middleman, but I'm going to be out of town, so he's going to be your person. So Thank you for everyone who had entered, and I know there was a lot of people who shared it. We gained a lot of subscribers. I'm sure some of those are going to be a little hollow. There's people that just want to do giveaways. But you know what? For the people, what I'm happy about is if this is Sam Nizzle Plays, it means that somebody who has subscribed to us literally from like the first or second episode. Anyway, somebody who was already a subscriber prior won, and that's interesting.
And commented on our trailer, the very first video we put on the channel.
I think that's right.
So, and when it came out, he didn't comment
Look,
recently.
watch this be completely wrong, and it's not Sam Nizzle Plays.
If it's not, you're still a cool dude, and you won the giveaway. So
yeah. Well, I know that I recognize this dude because I think he shared us in a Facebook group.
Okay, that makes
sense.
So
I know I recognize the name. So yeah, you won. Congratulations. Woo! All right, so Mr. Saul here has got a plan that I don't actually quite know about of what he wants to do instead of the drop, since there's not going to be one for this week.
Right.
So I'm going to let him move into that, and y'all can we can learn together.
So kind of similar to the drop, dealing with game releases, I have a question, which is going to be like a little mini topic. What game that has a release date in 2017. Now, this could be a game that we may speculate will be delayed. This can be, as long as it has a set in stone release date. What is your...
Right now?
Right now.
Okay.
As of June 1st, what is your most anticipated game to release this year?
South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Really?
Yes, I'm not joking in the slightest.
That's actually kind of surprising.
Dude, the Stick of Truth is so fucking... Uncharted's up there because the Lost Legacy.
Yeah, that's what
really
I thought
good.
you were going to say.
But no, because Uncharted Lost Legacy is just more Uncharted 4. And that's not a bad thing at all, because Uncharted 4 was a great game. But as far as like what I'm super excited for, The Stick of Truth was just such an amazing game. And I
still need to play it.
My only concerns come from the fact that Obsidian made the first game, and this one looks to be Ubisoft Montreal or something like that, I'm pretty sure. But it's a Ubisoft internal team. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe that means it'll run a little bit better because Obsidian games do tend to run a little badly. But on PS3 at least, the Stick of Truth had some frame drops when you were running around town. But combat was really fun, and the game was just for a game, it was really crazy.
I still need to play through it.
So anyway, so yeah, that's mine. What's yours?
Destiny 2.
I don't even know why I didn't think about that. See, here's the thing. I'm excited for Destiny 2, but about as cautiously excited as you can be. See, because I think the gameplay is fun, and the gameplay loop is obviously fun.
Well, a big misconception with me and a lot of other people is that Destiny 1, I thought, was a great game from the gameplay standpoint, and the lore was out of reach, but it was still kind of good. And I like Bungie lore. It's all pretty decent, including Halo. But the experiences in Destiny 1 are some of the best I've had this generation. So I'm really looking forward to the experiences that Destiny 2 will bring me. Staying up late nights, doing strikes, getting on the raids, and just hanging out with buddies playing a video game. And that's what I'm really, really excited for. That's what makes me the most excited, is that aspect there of hanging out with people. I already know that, you,
and
Donovan,
all the weird jokes we talk about.
Oh man, so funny.
Where we're going to talk about what if you wake up to somebody sucking your dick?
Yeah, that was a fun time.
And you don't know who or what it is, but it's good.
That was it. That is never a good situation, but those are fun times. And now that they incorporated the whole raid thing, I think we'll be able to actually raid more often, which is something we never got to do.
Since we don't. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that though, because it's putting your trust in people you don't know.
Yeah, and that's something
that's
always
something
that
I know about.
That as long as everybody has mics, we should be fine. Because I can't imagine griefers are going into.
Well, here's
raids.
the thing: we typically party separate from Destiny.
They could come in our party. It shouldn't be a big deal. I wouldn't think. I mean, if
It'd
we
be cool
don't,
if they made a feature that let them like easily migrate into your party from within the game. Like in the game, if they join your fire team, they can be like join your party.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell they'd work that out, but I think that would be interesting because then they wouldn't have to leave the game to join your party.
You know what? Talking about games, I forgot. What have you been playing this week? We skipped that.
Not that it matters, but I've literally only been playing Diablo 3. I beat Diablo 3.
It's a good game to play.
With me and Donovan beat the final act. I'm pretty sure it's where we were at last time we recorded. And then me and him went on to make a seasonal character, and I made a Crusader. I was playing a Demon Hunter at first.
Yeah.
And then I made a Crusader, and I've already moved him through level 70 to work towards getting the 6 classes to level 70. And 2 nights ago, I made a Wizard, which I've never played in Diablo. Super fun.
That was the only class I've ever played in Diablo.
Dude, I like it a lot.
It's fun.
And I didn't think I would.
Oh, it's real fun.
I like it a lot.
There's some really cool synergy later on in the game.
And I've been getting some cool stuff. Like I got a cow summon, like a little pet. He doesn't do anything. He's just a pet.
Yeah.
But he's a cow who looks pissed off, got a nose ring, and got like this. He's got like a little spear.
That
he's
is
really
pretty cool.
Yeah, he's out there. He's weird looking. But other than that, I'm just working towards that platinum. That's more or less what I'm using my summer for. I've got a lot of games I still got to play. I need to get back to Farpoint. It's been a really busy week, so when I get home, I'm tired.
Yeah, just hard to get into that VR.
And I really just want to sit and play Diablo. Because one of the great things about Diablo is even though I play on like a Torment 1, Torment 2, when me and Donovan are playing, we play Torment 1, Torment 2. When I'm playing by myself, I'll bounce between Torment and Master.
Okay.
Just to try and level up quicker because you get a bonus. I could go harder and do it, but I like that even on Torment, I don't have to try extremely hard, and it's still fun. So it's a little bit of a mindless, but not too mindless because of the way that the nature of how that game works. So I don't know. I've been really enjoying that. I guess my biggest complaint is that, I'm going to be flying for 4 hours, and I'm going to be driving or riding in a car for 4 hours before that. And I really feel like there's no reason that Diablo 3 shouldn't have come to the Vita with cross-save functionality.
That would have been great, yeah.
And if they had cross-save functionality, I'd have been able to pull my save over from the PS4 and keep working towards that platinum.
That would have been great.
So that sucks, but it is what it is. So
yeah, Diablo 3 on the go would have been.
All right, well that was an interesting little
fun
section. I mean, knowing that you're so excited for Destiny, I'm a little. See, my answer was surprising to you, but yours is not surprising to me. So is there anything besides Uncharted you thought I would have said?
Not really. No, that's what I was really curious about. Because if you didn't say Uncharted, I was curious as to what it would be. So
Okay.
I'm actually pretty surprised.
All right, well, what I'm going to do now is hop into the news. And like I said, there's going to be a couple things I miss this week just from the nature of this is Thursday. And having to prep for vacation from work has been hell as well. But I did my best to roll through and pull the stuff I thought was interesting. So the first thing I saw this week that really just pulled my attention, and I decided to go ahead and pull it over the news, is that it looks like the PS3 production will be ending soon in Japan. The info page for the 500 gigabyte PS3 model, which looks to be the only remaining model, at least on Japan's page, mentions that shipments are scheduled to end soon. So the PS3 launched in 2006. That puts it around 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah. So it's not...
Well, 11 years, which pushes it past the 10-year lifespan that Sony typically aims for with
Yeah.
their consoles. So that's really interesting, and it's kind of sad in a weird way because it's like retrospective for me, and I think that the PS3, in my honest opinion, is the best PlayStation made to date, at least from a standpoint of what the console could do as well as the games. Because I think that some of the best games I've ever played in my life were on the PS3, and I think
It's a great little system.
I felt like Sony's first party really came into their own in the PS3. Whereas PS2, you had God of War and you had a couple of things like Ico, Shadow of the Colossus. But even though they had exclusives, they didn't. A lot of it was like third-party stuff. When it came to PS3 sales lacking behind and Sony having a little too much hubris and being egotistical with the PS3, whenever they came out and were like, "Oh crap, we kind of shoved ourselves in the sand a little bit. We need to come back and show these people that our games are why you should buy our console."
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool way to do that.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing.
So not to spend too much longer on that.
While you go read that one, I'm actually going to hop and grab my notebook that's in my backpack 5 feet away that I completely forgot about. So I'm going to disappear.
You got this dead ass laptop you want to have open.
This laptop sucks.
You liar.
It's a static.
All right, so next thing up is that PS4 received update 4.70 this week. The update came stealthily with no announcement. Interestingly, the update changed the PS Store logo, the logos for PS Video, PS View, PS Now, and even the PS Plus logo. The patch notes only state the system software updates, the quality of the system performance, which is pretty par for the course with a lot of their smaller updates. That's why I thought it was a little interesting they actually did some logo changing. In
Yeah, like the
this.
store. I like the store logo a lot
I wonder
more.
I wonder if they're prepping for some stuff. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So the update weighs in around 320 megabytes, and it is a mandatory update. So if you haven't done it yet, you do have to do it to continue to play online.
Some people were having bricking issues.
I saw,
which is interesting.
because I'm a part of a few groups. I saw that there are some people having issues, or where it's not necessarily bricked, but it won't even try and start up.
Yeah, like it kind of almost freezes, and it's a very interesting problem. It's not.
I
Something
don't know
that
though.
typically
It's something
happens.
that can happen with any kind of update, and it's one of those like it's not widespread from what I've seen, but it's enough. Here's the thing: it doesn't matter if it's widespread or not. Anything that's breaking PlayStation should obviously be looked into soon. So it is worth mentioning that in case you haven't done it, in case you want to hold off to see if there's another 4.71 or something that fixes those issues. So next up, Square Enix have announced the newest game by I Am Setsuna developer Tokyo RPG Factory called Lost Sphere, and that's SPHEAR in case you want to look the game up. The game builds upon the gameplay mechanics of Setsuna, but revamps the active time battle system, letting players readjust placement during fights. Which sounds like you're kind of do like what South Park is doing, where you have a grid base and you can move around and position yourself before you do any moves.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting. And the news came alongside a trailer and screenshots showing off the game. So if you are interested, go check them out. It looks kind of pretty. It's similar to Setsuna's art style. So it's still not necessarily 2D, but almost like chibi, small, not kind of pixel arty, but still 3D. It's odd, but
Yeah, I like that art style.
it's set to release in early 2018 for $49.99. So that's a big step up from Setsuna, which I'm pretty sure was $39.99. And that was a Vita release. It's a little sad to see this is not coming to Vita. It is coming to PS4, Switch, and a couple. I think it's coming to Xbox as well, actually. So next up is that Sonic Mania is officially announced to be releasing on August 15th.
Good.
This announcement came as part of a new trailer showcasing some new areas for the game, which look fucking dope, and featuring Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails gameplay, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because one of the big things about Forces is that people are kind of mad that we're not seeing Tails or Knuckles.
Knuckles, yeah, that's my
For
boy.
the time being, they're really focusing on that classic Sonic, modern Sonic duo thing, which they don't get me wrong, it's not
deserved.
bad because they did the same thing with Sonic. Shit, what was it called?
What
Sonic
time
Generations.
era?
It was Generations, and it was a PS3 game. So next up, Pyre, the party-based RPG from Bastion developer Supergiant Games, has received a release date. Pyre is a party-based RPG, for those who don't know. It's got a 3-on-3 battle system where you aim to extinguish your foe's signal flame before they do the same to you. I saw this at PSX. The art is like super cool for it. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be in on it because I'm not a huge fan of turn-based. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the way this is kind of being set up. I did watch people play it. Now I'm just really blanking on whether it was turn-based or active time or free range. But, all their other games have been free battle, if I'm not mistaken.
The title sounds familiar.
Because these are the people who developed Bastion and Transistor, in case you don't know who Supergiant
Transition is a
Transistor.
weird battle. Yeah, it's a weird battle system. It's great. I love the game, but it's weird.
It's kind of turn-based,
like stop
isn't
motion, almost turn-based.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Bastion was not. Bastion was really interesting, actually. I like Bastion a lot. And I played that on Vita way later than I should have.
Yeah, I still have it on my Vita, just never played it.
Oh, it's super good.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's really good. I liked it a lot. It's not super long, but you can replay it, and there's some different stuff, and there's a lot of challenging things that they let you add in at the end of the game. So let's see. VR mech shooter Archangel was given a release window for PSVR this week. Developer Skydance Interactive announced that the game will be launching for PSVR this July, though no particular date was given, so that kind of sucks. But, it was also announced that it's going to be released first on PSVR with a exclusive 2-week window before making its way to other VR platforms. So that's cool for Sony just as a marketing deal, and it makes the PSVR a little more attractive if people see that games are coming to it quicker.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily think that that's a great way for Sony to do stuff, but I think it's a smart way to get people to try VR who maybe have Oculus or maybe haven't tried at all, and they go, well, I'm going to get one. Which one should I get? Well, VR has been getting them early.
Yeah, and it could definitely make some people...
And, the price, as well as getting certain games exclusive or early, is going to make it really,
See, with VR, I don't know if that'll work that well, because that means that with, like, Destiny or something, it can convince you to buy the other game if you have the other system, but it's almost if you had the VR, but typically you don't have two VRs where you may have a PS4 and an Xbox One. So it's kind of a weird territory.
But it's a little different because, there are people who have PSVR who also have Oculus because they're very different.
Yeah, I know. That's just a weird
and
combination to me.
The PC requirements are really crazy, and as new games keep coming, they get a little crazier. So, next thing up on the list is publisher and developer Grip Digital announced this week that they will be bringing their award-winning first-person shooter platformer Deadcore to PlayStation 4 on July 14th, 2017. So that's this year.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Pretty short announce window, but apparently the game originally launched back on PC in 2014. So it is interesting to see it's making its way this long after.
Yeah,
but I think it's cool because it's coming to a lot of platforms. So maybe it was critical acclaim. So
it's called Deadcore.
Deadcore. Yeah,
I don't know where I heard that from. That does sound really familiar though.
It looks cool. So All right, next up, June's PS Plus games for North America have been officially announced, and I didn't report on this last week because I'm kind of weird on where I stand on rumors.
Yeah,
in the news, I'm still kind of deciding whether I want to include them.
Well, and although this came
depending
out to
on
be
how
true,
big they are, this did come out to be true. But apparently, the PlayStation Turkey page for Twitter tweeted out a picture that had Killing Floor and Life is Strange on it to allude that they would be the free games. And it had a PS Plus logo, and that turned out to be true. So let's see. The PS Blog showed this, and they announced that the following titles will be available for what I will always call the Instant Game Collection. I don't think they're actually calling that anymore, but that's what it was when it announced, like when it launched on PS3. So that's just what I call it. I like the name. So the games are Killing Floor 2 for the PS4, Life is Strange for the PS4, and that is the whole season. In case anybody's confused, it's not just one episode; it's the whole thing.
So that's the entirety of Life is Strange.
Yes.
So you won't need anything else aside from the thing that was kind of spoiled today, the prequel. Did you see that?
I don't know how I feel about that because it could be prequel, but it could also be stuff that they cut from the initial game.
That's true.
So I don't know.
So this is the be-all package, though. If you wanted to enjoy this game.
Now there is a sequel like we talked about. They're working on a sequel. To be fair, it's another Life is Strange game. But here's the thing. The rumor that you're talking about with the prequel was actually coming from a different developer. Idle Minds have renamed themselves. I can't remember the new name. And they said they were working on a new game, and that's what people think with this art leaking and stuff. They're working on a AAA title that's well-known, critically acclaimed.
Is it a AAA title, though?
Life is Strange?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a AAA.
Indie title.
It's not even indie. It was Square Enix.
What?
Yeah, Square Enix put that out.
You'll learn something new every day.
I thought you knew that.
No.
So anyway, next game up is PS3 Abyss Odyssey. That's free for PS3, and then WRC 5 World Rally Championship for PS3. And then the next two games are PS Vita and PS4 cross buys: Neon Chroma and Spy Chameleon.
So Killing Floor looks interesting.
I haven't played it yet, but Jonathan and them played it for a little while. It does look interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try it. I like it from a graphical standpoint.
Yeah, and it's like
really
a horde-based game.
I mean,
waves of enemies.
The gameplay looks quick and fun. It just depends on what the gameplay loop is, whether I find it fun. But I'm also I don't know, dude. I'm really stuck on Diablo. I didn't think I would be as much. But finally moving away from playing it on computer and playing it on consoles, it's like I knew I loved the game, but it was always such a pain to play it on computer. Specifically, this isn't just me bitching about PC gaming. I do it every now and then. But specifically because the game doesn't have controller support, and the way that game makes you move, no, it's carpal tunnel. And I work on a computer all day and have carpal tunnel problems already, so fuck that. I get physically hurt me to play that game.
Jesus.
But me and Blaze did it. We beat it, and then we played some seasonal. But I played more on PS4 than I ever did on console. I mean, on PC now. So that's cool. Good to finally work. Considering I've had that game for a while, it's good to finally.
I tried it on his computer. I didn't mind the controls, but I know.
Well, you'll understand
if
you play more PC than me anyway.
Yeah.
But I think you'd understand if you played it. I think you'd understand because even Blaze would complain. It's just Blaze didn't care as much as I did. So, all right, last thing up, and there is more to this, like I said, but this is going to be the last thing I have on here. Quantic Dream announced this week that Heavy Rain, the PS3 darling that made its way to PS4, such a good game, has exceeded 4.5 million sold across both consoles.
Wow.
And now that is really impressive to me because of the type of game it is, because that game released back in 2010. For PS3, for those who have not played it yet or played it later. And that was kind of like a genre-defining game. It really made way for the Telltale games and Life is Strange and these very narrative-driven, story-based games. And that game, it hasn't necessarily aged amazingly, but it's aged well enough. And I think if you haven't played it, it's a really good PS4 remaster. It looks really good. It looks well from that perspective. It's just... in terms of how the gameplay works, it's still really good, and it's better than a lot of Telltale because you have more direct control. But it's just generally different. So, and it was a much better game than Beyond ended up being. Two Souls, which was not a bad game.
Yeah, I heard that.
It just, man, when you come off of something as good as Heavy Rain, oh man, it's really crazy to think that that's the way that ends up working. So what we wanted to do for the 10th episode, now that we're kind of through with the news,
close my dead laptop.
We thought it'd be interesting to kind of make this a more personal episode. Definitely considering the way that we're having to do recording. 10th episode, 10 top 10 games. And what we're doing, and we kind of gave ourselves some structure to what our games could and couldn't be. And what we ended up saying is that as long as it's a game that's released on PlayStation, so third party or exclusive, we're going to say that that's eligible.
Right.
So our top 10 PlayStation games. Now, Saul, how do you want to do it? You want to just read our individuals and say why? Or do we want to break off? And I think we should probably do our honorable mentions first.
Yeah, we should do our honorable mentions first. And I think what we should do is we should do them separately. Like we should go over our list and our reasoning, and then we can talk about it, and then we can do like mine and then go over it and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, because it's going to be a little weird because yours are numbered and mine are not. I have an impossible time trying to give it an actual number value to which one I thought was better. So mine's just a list of my top 10.
And mine's literally...
And they're just literally 10 games that I love.
And mine's literally a countdown to top 10 being the best. So his is not structured that way. So keep that in mind with these. Also, I don't know about you, but this is not... A lot of people are going to think that this is... I don't know if a lot of people is the right way, but... I don't want people to think that this is in terms of like technical greatness or anything. This is all stuff going back to nostalgia plus our experiences.
I mean, I guess it's good to say that it's our favorite game for whatever reason. It's our favorite game.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be any number one thing because I have a lot of memories with a lot of these things, and I mean sometimes that's the way that these end up coming in.
Yeah, nostalgia.
There's a lot of games I've played in my life where I'm like, man, there's just something about this game that really, really made me love it at the time, and it doesn't always mean that it's a great game. But it's a fun game, and it's things that you had fun with. So, Saul, you want to go ahead with your honorable mentions?
Sure. So, now these aren't in any order. My top 10 is. These are not. So, we have Demon's Souls being in there. I love that game. If it wasn't for that game getting me started on the Dark Souls kind of binge, that would have become one of my favorite game series of all time.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good mention. We have Shadow of the Colossus, another great PS2 to PS3 HD remastered game. That almost got in my top 10, so that's interesting. Ico was a great game, but I love Shadow way more than that.
Yeah.
Actually, we were talking about this earlier, and I actually seem to be wrong because I forgot. Horizon Zero Dawn did make it into my honorable mentions, and I'm actually. I'm
going to go ahead and say now.
It fought a lot.
This is the best top 10 I could come up with as I kept going on it. I know that this list is not. Once I've had more time away from Horizon, it will be somewhere in here.
Well, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of like mental battles with this. Is because you keep going over like what more you had fun
Well, because
with.
nostalgia hits later.
Yeah.
So I will have nostalgia for Horizon, but it's still fresh. And while it was an amazing game, it's just not like I haven't had enough time to really dwell on it and see where it stands in my mind to kick out something, say like I've talked about it on here plenty of times, Resistance 3.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to kick that game out.
Right.
So it's interesting.
And then the last two from my honorable mentions are Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy 10. Both of those are great PS2 classic era of games that I love. Both being the same, game series, but being two drastically different games with two drastically different stories. I actually am a huge fan of 12's story, and I'm a huge fan of 12's
I thought 12's story was really
system.
cool. And actually, I'm glad that since it's finally coming out over here in July, I'm glad that it's the one that they went back and added onto, and I can't even remember the name of it right now because it was actually originally a Japanese release. So there's actually quite a bit of new things for American players.
Zodiac Age?
The Zodiac. Because they added the Zodiac job system. Which is actually kind of, they pulled that from the way that they did job systems in 11 online. And I thought that game was really cool.
With the battle system, it makes sense a lot.
That game kind of skirts the line between being a standard console RPG and also playing a little bit like an MMO.
It's
because it's got an active time system, but you freely move about.
Yeah, and like when I was playing Final Fantasy 14 online back like maybe a year ago, I played that game very heavily. A couple hundred hours.
To be fair, and 14 is similar to 11.
Yeah,
but not so much as 11 is to 12.
Not like the
then,
button ways and stuff, but the way the enemies see you and aggro towards you, and the little line goes across. Now I don't know if that's still in 14 or not, but I love 14 a lot because of that reason. That almost made it into this, but
it's just a really interesting way to pull. I mean, I like it because it does tell you clearly who you're attacking.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy 10. That was we talked about that in our PlayStation First episode, our first episode. I just love that game very much. I almost play it every year. This year I've been playing it back on Vita, so next year I'll probably end up playing it on PS4 Vita.
I don't have it on Vita, but I have it on PS4. I've been debating starting it up, but I have so many other games I really need to start up once I finally get my Diablo fix out.
It plays really well.
I don't think I'm going to get the Diablo Platinum literally this summer, at least not in one sitting. So I know I'm going to quit playing and take a break before too long because the hardcore trophies are going to really get me. I'll have to be slow and really pay attention to what I'm doing. So
yeah. So do you want to go to your honorable mentions and then we'll go back to me for top 10 and then we'll finish with yours. Okay.
All right. So my honorable mentions, again, this is no actual same thing. This is no actual
like order
or anything. And actually, I know that some of these I don't stand completely by because there's other games that just somehow are not on my brain, and that's crazy because I've had a lot of seminal experiences that you'd be surprised that you can't think of them on the spot.
Yeah, it definitely took me a couple hours to put this list together.
I spent as long as I could, but it's just been such a crazy week. And I was really at war with myself on a lot of them. So, weirdly enough, pretty much my entire top 10 list is going to be some form of exclusive.
I don't think I have any multiplats.
I do have multiplats in my honorable mentions. And technically, you're kind of similar. All right, so mine, I'm just going to go from the bottom up, just how I have it listed. It doesn't really matter. One of them is Prince of Persia, the 2008 release that Ubisoft put out.
Crazy. I saw that on your list a second ago.
Man, I really like that game.
It had a really cool art style. I didn't play it.
That was back whenever the PS3 was still pretty new, and I hadn't had mine. Obviously, I got mine close to launch, so I hadn't had it terribly long, and I was still poor and I didn't get to play a lot of games, so I had to be really careful with what I chose. And then I did some yard work for Gramps. And he ended up giving me money to go pick it up. It was $17.99, I remember specifically. And me and Seth just sat here and played it.
That game was $4 when I bought it. You remember that day I bought it?
You had never
3
played
years
it
ago.
That, though, right?
I never played it. That game was $3.99.
Did you like it when you played it? Did you beat it?
I didn't beat it.
It's a really interesting game because it's such a different take on Prince of Persia. because they change out the big group horde battles and the little. It's forgiving in a similar way where you can't die because if you fall, he swoops up and picks you up. But they kind of pull back from the whole sand control and stuff, and they really made a game that I felt like, and obviously Nolan North being the prince in that game melts my heart because I love Nolan North.
Yeah, our compass is always pointing north.
That was a terrible joke. But yeah, Prince of Persia 2008, from a standpoint of graphics, I thought the game was very beautiful, and I liked the focus and the emphasis on singular battles. So when you fought something, it was always pretty much one of them, and you saw its health bar at the bottom, and it was you had to think, you had to parry at the right moments, you had to block at the right moments, you had to think about your attack, and it made a singular battle have a lot more tension. And I thought that was a really interesting way to pull that game off, because it kind of adds, when you're playing a turn-based game and you're fighting a boss and the tension's there because it's turn-based and there's one boss and you don't really know what's going on.
You have to really configure its moveset.
And definitely from a game that came off of being really focused around big horde-style battles with a lot of, the way the other games worked out with a lot of them coming around you.
Yeah.
I won't necessarily say horde, but they were big groups. So I thought that game was great. Next game up, Rayman Origins. Specifically, I played it for the Vita, and oh man, what a great platformer. That was a really early Vita game for me that I just loved. I thought it was really fun.
I still need to get that too.
And man, art style for that game's great. And actually, I want to say Rayman Legends, so many people love. I tried playing it, could not get into it. Something about it, that it just lost the soul that I loved from the first game. But it was still a fine game. I just dropped it and couldn't end up finding. And maybe it was the right time, right place for Rayman, but I've always liked the Rayman games. And Rayman Origins was just really well made. And it was definitely for an early Vita game. It showed what the Vita could do.
Yeah.
So next thing up is a PSP game, and it was a launch PSP game, and I fucking love this game. I play it. I have it on my Vita. I literally play it still to this day. It's called Untold Legends: Brotherhood of the Blade, and what it is it's a Diablo-ish style. It's a top-down, third-person isometric dungeon crawler game.
I think I remember that game.
And it was really good. It was made by the people over at, I think it's Daybreak now, but they were Sony Online Entertainment. The people who made DC Universe Online and stuff like that. Sony sold them and they became Daybreak Studios, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name. They made that, and then they made a sequel for the PSP that was called Untold Legends: The Warrior's Code, and it changed up the art style, and it was a good game, and I did beat it, and I liked the game a lot, actually, but it just didn't have that same feel, and I think it was because this game came out back whenever we didn't have a ton of money. I mean, even less than when I got the PS3.
Yeah.
And I somehow managed to get a PSP from my mom. And the only game, I told her if she managed to get me one, the only game I wanted was Untold Legends at launch. Because I saw it and I was like, holy shit. And I've always, I loved Diablo 2 back in the day. Thought that game was great.
Do you remember Ren Goku?
Yeah.
That was my first PSP game.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a kind of game, to be fair.
It was a very game.
But, man, Untold Legends is super fun, and you could play it with other people. And I had a bunch of friends that happened to have PSPs, so we would actually co-op that game. And
that's pretty cool.
I thought that was a really fun way to do it. So, and I love those style games anyway. They actually put out an Untold Legends for PS3 that I also really liked. So, next thing up on my list is, I love the Sly games. I have just a really big piece of my heart that is just, I love them. It's so hard to put it in the top 10, though, because I kept trying to, and I couldn't nudge it out in any way. So I went specifically with Sly 2. Sly 2's gameplay changed up from the first one and kind of gave that open world hub where it was like you're in an area and there's missions that you walk to and you start them. And that game was just really pretty. And then specifically, if I want to say which one, the HD remake was really pretty, and it really handled the game extremely well. So the Sly Collection.
That never made it to PS4, did it?
No, not yet. Not yet.
It needs to.
I don't know if it will, because some people are kind of tired of that. So my last up on my honorable mentions is a game that I feel like doesn't even really need a lot, because I think if you've played it, you understand why I love it so much.
Yes.
Dead Space 2. That game.
Daycare scene.
Dude, that game is so good. It's very rare that games really scare me or give me a really bad sense of uneasiness. And that game just kept me fucking... There's these little... I call them kangaroo-looking things, but they're like little raptor kangaroo things that like look like this, and they run, and like they're super fast.
Them things are fast.
And they're like... like they make this really, really weird noise. This shit blows my mind. Anyway, dude, me and Blaze are playing, right? Actually, Blaze was playing in the living room. He's playing DC Universe, and I was playing in the bedroom. And that was when my bedroom was up here, because we live with Grandpa. Holy shit, dude. I screamed at my TV. Like one of the fucking things turned and I saw a shadow. It was the very first time you come across them in the game.
Yeah.
And I saw the shadow and I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear that. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I turn around, right? I'm looking for it. I turn around and it's running at me super fucking fast. And it's right there in my face. And as soon as I turn around, and I went, ah!
And that's not too far in the game, is it? That's only like 3 hours in?
Yeah, it's not too terribly far, but it was far enough to where I like, and you got to know, like back then, dude, I would play games with my surround sound. I'd hook my system up to my surround sound, and I would turn all my lights off, and I'd make sure I play the game at dark, at night.
Yeah,
because I like the
experience.
Not necessarily I was like immersion, but it definitely distractions were not there, so he's a little more scared. So that's my last one. Gonna go ahead and go into your top 10 since yours are so beautifully structured, and I'm interested because I haven't seen yours. You're kind of peeking at mine right now, because I'm lazy and put it on a laptop.
So there's a couple on here I think that might surprise you. So number 10, this is a game I've marked these in a weird way too. Surprised I don't have a spreadsheet. There are 2 games on this list I try to play yearly, and this is one of them. And I always try to play this specific one at the fall.
The Last of Us.
Yes, The Last of Us.
Just because you said fall.
Yeah, I love playing that game and when it's cold outside, or it's more chilly than it is in this Texas.
Is it
Arkansas
so when you
heat.
get to the winter scene, you feel a little more?
No, I don't know what it is. The very first time I played that, it is because the very first time I played that game, it was rainy outside, it was cold, I had the weekend
off. And it's kind of that nostalgia play.
And I dug into it, yeah. So that's number 10. I love that game. I haven't played it this year. Like I said, I'm waiting for it to be cold. But number 9 on the list, Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, this could be either Subsistence or Snake Eater.
Either one?
Or,
you don't have a preference?
I like them both for the exact same reason. The camera. Because the Subsistence is the classic isometric kind of style camera.
Locked camera.
And then 3 is, Snake Eater is the behind third-person camera that followed for the rest of the games.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm actually going to say, dude, I thought that was so much better.
Yeah, I enjoy both of them.
I will say from a classic Metal Gear Solid feel, where, you know, when you played 1 and 2, and then you go back into it and it's got that camera, yeah, it did feel right, but it really, in terms of like the nostalgia you have behind the series, but in terms of like the way that the game controlled, it really needed that free motion camera.
See, I like both the camera angles about equally, so it works out really well. Number 8 on the list, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
That is a really good game.
It is.
And I love Metroidvanias, but I could not.
Well, and see, I played this the same time.
I couldn't put it on my list, man. I do love that game, though.
I played it the same time I played the Metroid Fusion games on Game Boy Advance. And I feel like
Lord, you're
if
so
it wasn't,
late to everything.
It is true.
I should have thought about that, though, because
well,
you were talking about how you
this is
didn't
the
really
same
play PlayStation.
It's the same summer that I got the PS1 and I have Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, God, yeah.
But if it wasn't for that game, it wasn't for the Metroid games on Game Boy, I probably wouldn't be into 2D platformers like I am now, and that has been a big part of my gaming life. So I can really owe that series a lot for that main game.
Well, yeah, and then just generally the Castlevania and Metroid games for giving that genre life, because there's a lot of Metroidvanias I love.
Like Axiom Verge is great and Shovel Knight are great, and those
weirdly
are two
enough,
I contemplated.
Dude, weirdly enough, one of my favorite is actually Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate for the Vita and 3DS.
I remember you telling me about that one.
Super fun. And you would not think that trying to translate the Batman Arkham gameplay
into
to a 2D
Metroidvania
would work. It fucking totally did.
Yeah.
It's super good. It was really fun, and it still kept the combo base where you could dodge and, you know, all your combo-based combat.
Yeah.
And you could still dodge and everything, but it was just on a 2D plane.
Well,
that was all. And it was 2.5D, actually, just so we're...
And we'll see...
for those who haven't played it.
I never played it. I've always wanted to. I might pick it up on Vita. For the Dracula,
it's on
Dracula
Vita, but
Chronicles
to be fair,
X is that part, like when you beat the game,
on
you
PSP, the PSP version of it. You unlock Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, though, is I'm pretty sure they did Arkham Origins Blackgate on PS4. They did a re-release of it.
I typically don't like platformers on handheld or on home systems.
It was better from what I've played of both.
On PS4?
It just felt more right. Like on Vita. And that's where I played it.
Handhelds are typically the best for platformers. But anyways, moving on to number 7 on the list, we have Persona 4. And this is like Metal Gear Solid 3. It can be golden or it can be the original PS2 classic. Either one, I love that game so much. It's when you compare them to Persona 4 to Persona 5 and you compare the stories, I like Persona 4's a little bit more. Persona 5 it's a little more darker for some people, and Persona 4 it's a little more darker on, I don't know whose phone that was.
It's mine.
Okay. And I I just really enjoy the story for that game, and that was the first Persona game I ever played. So that was the first Persona game I ever dug my nails into and really spent 80 odd hours, and I didn't even finish it on that playthrough. And I went back and played it and beat it again, but it's the fact that playing for 80 hours, I never got to beat the game, and that is just so much enjoyment. I would say that if you can find a used Vita for cheap, that would be worth it for buying a Vita.
I have a game that's similar in terms of it was long, and it just kept going. But man, I don't know. There's actually that's one of the things that keeps me from wanting to play Persona is I don't have enough time to sink 80 hours into a game and still not beat it.
Well, yeah, and the thing about Persona is,
and you know I'm not big on turn-based. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's a little bit different on turn-based because I did play it on Reptar's Vita for like 20 minutes one day.
It's a little weird.
And I know 20 minutes is not enough to experience Persona, but I experienced the battle system, and that's all. And it wasn't early. It was like he was midway through the game because he loves that game as well.
Oh, yeah, it's a great game.
So it's a game that I don't have anything to say on. I think it looks great, and obviously people love it, and it was a great thing for the Vita, so that's cool.
And I like Teddy more than Morgana, or Morgana. That's always.
So what are you on, number 5?
I'm on number 6. That was number 7. Number 6 is Crisis Core. Final Fantasy 7. It was a PSP game. I love... You know, a lot of people will say that you need to play that game and play 7 to understand the entire story. I don't think that's the case. I think you're somewhere in that ballpark where
here's
I think
my
it
point.
Sheds light on 7.
Here's my point,
but it's not required.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Seven's plot is shallow without this.
I think it shines some light on 7's plot. I don't think it's shallow. I just think it's not. Without this game, 7's still perfect.
I feel like it. I disagree, but then again, I think that 7 is a very overhyped game. Now, here's the thing: I want to go ahead and say, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy 7, just to get that out of the way, is on my top 10 list as well. It is one of my favorite games ever.
So it is,
dude. The fact that it is not somehow you can't even get it. You can't play it on Vita because it was never a purchase. It was never digitally available on PSP, so the backwards compatibility doesn't come in there.
It's not remade.
They never did a remaster, which fucking blows my mind because that game is. I mean, dude, that game is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
that game just plays so well. It's one of my favorite RPGs.
Angiel, Genesis, Zack, the characters are great. Dumb apples.
So here's the thing: even though you think 7's perfect, are you telling me right now that you think which one do you think story's better?
Well, that was
now,
number 6 on my list. Number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy 7.
And you think Final Fantasy 7 story is better?
I think Final Fantasy 7 story is more deep. I think that getting into Midgar, you can get in all these characters. You can get into, there's so much more depth in a way because there's not a lot you can visit outside of Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core in terms of story that you can visit. A lot of people, I'm also a huge fan of Advent Children. I love that movie. I know it's not
so many people hated it.
I know. I love that movie.
It was cool. But to be fair, it did almost nothing from a story standpoint for that world, in my opinion.
Well, see,
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's stuff there, but dude, it was just like, it was cool and I liked it, but it was super unnecessary.
I think that, and see, this is another weird thing for me, is that this game battled with Final Fantasy VI, even though you can technically get Final Fantasy VI on the Vita store, right, as a classic. It battled for that spot, and it didn't even make it in honorable mentions. Final Fantasy VI did it, despite that being my favorite Final Fantasy, because a lot of this stuff, and this is what I was saying earlier, is going off the memories and the experiences I had.
Well, see, I get why it's higher on your list than Crisis Core, but I just, dude, I
think Crisis Core has...
I will have to agree to disagree with you that Crisis Core.
See, well, here's how I stand. I think
is the far better game.
I think 7's in terms of story has a 10 out of 10 story, and I think Crisis Core has a 9.8 out of 10 story. I think that the story for Crisis Core is very predictable. I predicted everything that was going to happen in that story.
Well,
now, it is a prequel, but I'm talking about with the characters.
I don't see how you could predict any of that stuff with Genesis and
Antium. We'll say you don't want to spoil it for people.
I'm not saying what it is.
Even though if you let you have a PSP, you can't.
What I mean is, like, I don't see how you could have predicted that at all.
It was because it's
it's
very similar to 7. I'll just say that.
To be fair, yes, it was supposed to play on similar story beats, but it was supposed to actually give 7. It was supposed to make 7's events, as far as Cloud's concerned, make sense.
Right.
And that's what I always say.
And that's kind of like what it did.
Story, as far as what Cloud's involvement in 7. It seems so out of place.
Well, this just shed light on
even when I was
a
a kid and I played 7, man. I was like, this makes no fucking sense. Now, everybody else's story, great. Aerith, but I call her Aerith. It's because I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. I apologize. And that's what they called her in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, that's where they changed it. But really, I thought Aerith was great. I thought her involvement in the story is fine. I also actually thought that Sephiroth's character development in 7 was awful.
What? It's very similar to a character in Crisis Core. Where the whole good guy, bad guy thing. That's how you can predict Crisis Core so well.
No, don't get me wrong. That's why you can predict Crisis Core, but the way they build into Sephiroth made it was done much better, and it made you sympathize with Sephiroth way more in Crisis Core than you ever did in 7.
That's true, but I still like Sephiroth in 7 being the bad guy for why he is the bad guy.
No, I think he's a great bad guy in both games.
And he just looked so cool for me being 13 years old playing this game.
Again, way fucking cooler in Crisis Core.
That's true. And I've been children, technically after Kadaj and all three of them.
Yeah, well, also I just want to say, dude, what a fucking powerhouse of a game to show off what the PSP can do.
Oh, Crisis Core.
Yeah. Anyway, go on past Final Fantasy 7 number 5, right?
Right, and then number 4, a game I wish they would remake. Oh, so dearly. Or at least just include a new kind of expansion, or not expansion, but a new base game, Final Fantasy Tactics. And this time I'm going with War of the Lions.
Okay, well, here's to be fair, yeah, War of the Lions is definitely better.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that because Cloud's in it, because you get Cloud at level 1.
Cloud was in the original.
I don't remember that. I thought Cloud was specifically in War of the Lions.
Nope, he's in both. Actually, if I'm not even mistaken, I think you get him the exact same way in both games.
Yeah, level 1 when you're all level... I forgot what level you are. You're too high up for him, and you can spend time grinding him out.
Dude, if you grind him out, though, he's really fucking good.
Yeah, I did that.
But that game is great. War of the Lions, I actually thought, because the way that it chose to flesh out the cutscenes really helped.
The art was beautiful.
It really was.
I actually may go buy that game on PS Vita as the classic, because it's only $9.99, I think.
You didn't get it for free as PS Plus?
When was this?
3-4 years ago.
No.
Oh, dude, I have it.
Sure didn't.
Hey, I have it, and it's War of the Lions specifically. And we can co-op it. Or, well, what I mean, we can battle each other.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Dude, fuck yeah, we should do that.
But I love that game. You know, if it wasn't for that game, I say that with a lot of these games, but I wouldn't like Disgaea, Fire Emblem.
Actually, I've been really wanting to get back into Disgaea.
It came out on the Switch, and I may buy it on the Switch.
Well, I'm actually talking about 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah.
I really like 3, but 4's storyline is super...
3's on PS3 only, right? Or is it on PS4?
3's on Vita, and 4's on Vita. And I have 3.
I didn't know that.
3 was free as a PS Plus game.
Yeah.
Let's not spend too much time outside of this, but go ahead.
So the next 2 games are going to be somewhat kind of weird. But number 3, Devil May Cry 3. Now...
Is number 2 Devil May Cry something else?
No. But Devil May Cry 3 was the last game I played in the series, and this is back before 4 was a thing. The timeline was something that was always kind of weird with these games, because it should go, if I remember correctly, 3... 4, 1, 2, or 3, 1,
2
4,
is
2.
2 is the oldest. 3 is the first.
Yeah. And I love 1 very, very much. And it was really cool to see that 1 was originally a Resident Evil game.
I think 4 takes place after 1.
They got canned. You might be right.
No, backstory-wise, Devil May Cry is extremely interesting.
Oh, yes.
And actually, I'll say those games are great. 1's lock camera, no.
Well, you know it's going to be a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I know. And I understand every bit of that.
And I think that's why the lock camera thing was a whole deal.
It was.
But the boss battles in that game are great. The difficulty in that game was fantastic.
Hold on, which game did you say was your favorite?
3.
3, okay. Yeah, 3 is great. I mean, 3 is a really good game.
I got the
and
original
that game
one.
Is fucking hard if you try.
The original one is way harder than Special Edition. We covered this in, I think, the first episode. But what is it? In the Special Edition one, you can unlock Nero. I mean, not Nero, Virgil, and you can play as Virgil.
And that made it easier.
And that was really cool.
But, to be fair, the game really wasn't... There are people that say that there was, like, small things. I'm one of those people, I played both of them, and I don't really believe that it was really any easiver.
The Succubus boss battle on the original took me 4 or 5 hours and a broken controller. On the Special Edition, or the PlayStation Classic, or the red...
Well, it wasn't that. It was Dante's Awakening.
That's right. Yes.
It wasn't a classic. It was
Succubus.
a re-release with Virgil in it.
I beat the Succubus on the very first try. It was a whole lot easier to beat.
To be fair, you also had experience with the game at that point.
Well, I had a lot of experience with Devil May Cry 1 and stuff.
I'm talking about
it was only the Succubus that really gave me trouble.
You had specifically experience with Devil May Cry 3, and then Dante's Awakening, you're just playing the same boss.
Yeah, same boss though.
Even if they balanced it a little. But anyway, go ahead.
Number 2, Kingdom Hearts 2.
You're one of them plebs.
That likes Kingdom Hearts 2 more than 1.
Yeah, but I know why. Nostalgia. And you played 2 before you played 1, didn't you?
Yeah, and going back into the 1.5 and 2.5 collection, it's just 2 is so much more enjoyable to play than 1 was.
1 is much more true to an RPG, and that's actually why I like it so much.
I guess I kind of
one's
disagree
harder.
there. One is definitely harder.
One's a harder game,
I like
and that's
two's
because of the
world
reaction
better,
commands.
besides Stupid Little Mermaid World.
And see, that's actually the bloatware in 2 is a part of the reason why
The filler worlds.
I never consider it as my favorite Kingdom Hearts.
Well, that was the only world that I actually disliked in 2. I don't think I ever had a problem with any other world in 2.
I gotta say, don't get me wrong, it wasn't terrible, but
the mermaid level.
The Pirates of the Caribbean level was just.
I like that level.
Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all. It was fun, but it. Okay, this is what I mean by which one's better. Specifically speaking, I think Kingdom Hearts 1. I know we're taking a little long while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But Kingdom Hearts 1 felt more cohesive from a story perspective, and part of that comes from the fact that there's not as near as complex shit in it. But don't get me wrong, I love the complexity of the Kingdom Hearts series. It's just that the worlds and the way they come together, and the general story, and the way that Riku bounces around is great.
Touch the mouse for me. I don't know how this computer works if it falls asleep.
It doesn't at
all. Number 1.
You're giving away our trade secrets, man. You can't let them know we use Mixcraft 7 on a Windows 10 PC.
No, we use a Mac.
Bitch, we don't use that.
Number 1, Bloodborne. Now,
that's not surprising at all.
It's not.
Great game. I love that game.
This
it's
is
just not in my top 10.
That I marked as a yearly play. I have to play this game every single year. Now, sad to say, this may be the last year.
Because Bloodborne 2.
No, because I played it in January and I platinumed it. So I have no reason to go back unless it's just to play it.
It's just fun.
It is. I got kind of worn out with the last trophy I needed was the Queen of Yarnum trophy, and I had to go through the Chalice dungeons. So that's actually going to be somewhat of a, because we have some viewer mail after this topic.
Yeah.
That's going to be kind of leading into that. But,
okay. Well, I'm going to hop over. I'm going to try not to spend too long on mine because I talked a lot through yours. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
And luckily some of them actually do line up. So I've already talked about Kingdom Hearts 1. I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is a far superior game to 2.
I could see that.
But I also think there's a little more of a drive behind 1. And it's got that creative kind of... I have a similar thing with artists in terms of like band artists where I think that a lot of the times it's the fact that you don't always know what you're doing and you have a little bit of self-doubt that leads you to make some really great stuff. Because I think a lot of artists' first album, they have, and I mean, this is true, they call it the sophomore slump, where you have a really hard time having your second album do as well as your first album.
Right, because you get the...
Because there's something like, because I still to this day, I think Hybrid Theory is a much better album than Meteora. Yeah. So I know that's going off a music topic, but what I mean is it lends credence to what I'm talking about, is that a lot of people view that the same way.
Yeah, I like Meteora a lot more, but Meteora...
Oh, no, they're both fucking great albums.
I'll say Meteora has some of my favorite songs on it, but this isn't a music podcast, which would be a cool idea.
Welcome to the Music Podcast with Saul and Brett.
I was trying to make...
Okay, so Kingdom Hearts is there. One I want to talk about, and this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I love this game so much. Infamous 2. Second Son was a great game, but there's a lot of people that's their first game in the series, and I really feel like if you have not played Infamous 2, and I have a big hope that Infamous 1 and 2 come over to the PS4 in a remastered sense, because Infamous 2 is a really phenomenal game when it comes to storytelling and the way that your gameplay choices, like your karma choices affect the game, because the game really plays off of the gray areas where you have kind of a
neutral.
It's not even that. It's actually what I mean by gray areas is it's a decision where the good makes sense and there's a reason why you choose it outside of just being good, but the bad also makes sense and there's a reason you would choose it outside of just wanting to be bad. Because something about similar games, when you play Second Son, you're just either being a dick or you're just being good. And like, there's no gray area. You either know what you're doing is just you're being a dick. And actually, man, I'm going to say the bad ending for that game, I did not like at all.
Of Second Son.
Now, one of the best game endings I've ever played, Infamous 2. And the way that it plays the ending, it flips the whole game on its head. And I don't want to spoil anything. I really do think if you've never played that game, you should. And if you've played it, I think you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So next up on my list, Heavy Rain. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I think this is a game this is a game that pulled me into this genre, and it was actually one of the first games of this genre anyway, in a sense of consoles for sure. I think Quantic Dream are a great developer. I'm extremely excited to see how Detroit Become Human turns out.
I cannot wait for that game.
And man, Heavy Rain is it's a thriller, a psychological thriller, and it plays between 4 different characters and bounces between them.
Need to play this game.
Dude, I'm telling you, the game is so good, and don't ever spoil the story for yourself because you will really enjoy it if you play it. Don't run, there's a couple of campy parts, and it was very early with trying to do motion capture and stuff to get these really lifelike performances. So there's a couple of things that are kind of odd, like there's a sex scene that's a little weird, but it's not bad, and it definitely doesn't detract from the fact that the game as a whole is amazing.
There was another sex scene in a video game very recently, and I can't think what it was, and I was thinking back to this last night for some odd reason.
The Witcher.
No.
Actually, the sex scenes in The Witcher are actually pretty well done from a standpoint of they're not awkward, in my opinion. They feel right when you do them.
It was just something I played recently. I can't think what it was, and that just triggered the memory again.
All right, next up, this is technically cheating, but I'm going to give the Nier, and obviously I love this game so much that I wanted to give it away, but it's the Nier franchise, and there's only Nier and Nier Automata, even though they technically play into the Drakengard world as a whole. Man, those games, and I really love Yoko Taro. He's a really, really great director.
Did you see his Life is Unfair Q&A?
He is a very, very interesting man. I tweeted that.
Oh, did you?
I didn't even see that. It,
I didn't even see it on Twitter at all.
Triangle Squared page. Man, he's a very interesting guy, and he tells very interesting stories. His games, while not always, and that's what made Nier Automata so great, is it ran extremely well. It looked beautiful, and it told a great story.
Glory to mankind.
Nier did not necessarily look fantastic.
I really wish that we
and it
got
didn't necessarily run fantastic.
I really wish we got the other character in the States.
Oh, the young Nier?
Yeah, I like his art style a lot more than the older.
I will say though,
character.
from a standpoint of and I get why they did it. From a standpoint of what Americans view,
yeah.
the father-daughter relationship definitely pulled more than a brother-sister, and there is a very different feel. And I mean, and this sounds like I'm not trying to just be some weird mic preacher, but as a father, now I actually appreciate Nier even more.
Oh, well, I can't say that. So.
It sounds extremely weird, but man, it's like you don't think that having a kid's going to change you as much as it does, but it does. And that's part of actually another reason I love that game so much. So if you haven't played the first Nier and you have a PS3, play it. There's also talk about them remaking the first Nier for the PS4. And if they use the same crew that made Nier Automata, which is Platinum and Square,
it'll be great.
I think that would be a fantastic thing. So I hope to see more games in that universe, or at least a Drakengard 4. That would be a dope E3 announcement because Nier Automata blew my fucking mind. I never thought it would happen because the first game sold so poorly. We've already talked about Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Won't go into that anymore. Kingdom Hearts talked about. So Crash Bandicoot Warped. I talked about that a little bit on the first episode. And man, I'm even more hyped on it since all this shit with the Insane Trilogy has been showing Warped gameplay.
Yeah, and it looks really good too.
Very
surprisingly.
Warped has got so much charm, and I think all 3 of the games have got so much charm, but Warped was my favorite.
Outdoes it, yeah.
Man, that game was just the way they did animations, death animations. There's a lot of love and care in that game, and all the games did have that. The time trials really added up, and the way they added like the bazooka cannon and stuff like that. Love that game. So I'm not going to go too much far into it because I've already talked about it a little bit. Last of Us, we briefly talked about with you.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to say it's pretty high on my list. I think The Last of Us is probably the best example of storytelling in a video game that exists.
It's great.
And that's saying, and I love Heavy Rain.
The Fireflies
and I love
and
Infamous
everything.
too. But I mean, it was a very, and some people say that the story, in terms of what it's about, like the subject matter, and
cordyceps or
no,
or like the father-daughter thing.
Well, the father-daughter thing, but again, that's not what makes the game great. That's not what makes the storytelling great. It's the way that the characters interact with each other and the way the characters build with each other.
Especially that ending.
Dude, character development is 100% the best I've ever seen in the game, and I am so stoked for The Last of Us 2. I can't wait.
Them giraffes.
So next up, and this is one of those things where I think that there are better games, but God of War 3 is my favorite in the series from a standpoint.
That's the only one I haven't played.
Man, 3 is so brutal, and man, I just love that game. And it was still an early time where I couldn't get every PS3 game I wanted, so I had to be very picky.
Which one's Chains of Olympus? Is it the PSP game?
PSP was the first one.
Okay, I never. So it was the first game, but on PSP.
It was the first one for PSP.
Got it. Okay.
Chains of Olympus.
Never played that one.
Chains of Olympus is a prequel. It happens before 1.
That's unusual.
Leads
so
into
before
1,
his
it
whole
makes
life
sense.
thing?
Yes. Well, no, after his wife, but before the events of 1 where he's trying to kill himself. If you don't know that much about God of War at this point, then I apologize.
Yeah, we won't say much more because you need to play these games.
Yeah, and then the Ghost of Sparta takes place between 2 and 3.
4 comes out.
Oh, I'm sorry, before 1 and 2. Yeah,
I was gonna say, that's
he was
unusual.
still a god. So, Ghost of Sparta, also a great game. If you have a PS3 and you could get the Origins collection, very, very good games. Ready at Dawn developed those. That's the same people that made The Order, and that almost made my list, but I just couldn't. I love that game. Next up, we've talked about it. Resistance 3. Resistance 3 is the best in the series. I don't have to say much more about that. There are people that disagree. If you like the more military aspects of shooters, and you're going to like 1 and 2 better. 3 had a much more personal story, and it felt bigger in scope and size. And again, it added that father-daughter family feel to it, and it added depth to a game that didn't have a lot of depth. I love 2. I thought 2 was great. I loved 1 because it was a very inventive game and it was really fun and co-op was great. But 3 is definitely the nearest and dearest to my heart. Last on my list is Tales of Xillia. And man, I'd played Tales games prior, but I never let myself get lost in them. I liked them. I thought they were good, but I just didn't care. And it's funny, Tales of Xillia pulled me in. And you remember when I played it, because I remember I let you borrow it.
Yeah, I'll say you were heavily encapsulated in that game.
That game was so good. And that's actually the game I was talking about on my list where the game just keeps going. It's like every time I thought the game was going to end,
it just 4 more hours.
Kept going, and it wasn't even a bad way. Like it would go forward, and I'm like, this is some crazy shit, and this storyline's cool.
To me, that's how Persona 4 was.
But see, it didn't go on that long. I think that my time overall for Xillia was maybe 30 or 40 hours.
I thought that game was like 80 or 90.
I could be lying. I don't know, dude. I played that game fucking nonstop. I'd get off work and just play until I went to bed.
Well, the last Tales game I played was Symphony. Or wait.
Symphony? That was a GameCube one, right?
Yeah. That had the main character with the red coat on, right? And the brown hair. Whatever that was. That's what that
red coat, brown hair. That might have been Symphony. I'm trying to remember because Abyss was white coat, red hair.
Yeah, so that was the last.
I can't remember that dude's name right now.
Yeah.
So that's it for mine. I know that we spent a long time on that, and I actually apologize. But hey, look, you know a little bit more about what games we love, and exactly why we love.
Sorry,
you lazy piece of shit.
I'm relaxing.
All right, so going into viewer mail, last episode we asked Mr. RJ Loki, one of our earlier fans, our boy,
our dude,
the what is he? The gaming postal worker or whatever, his Twitter.
Yeah, very clever.
I can't remember what the hell it is, but I like it. So we asked him to give us a couple of questions, and he gave us some, like a nice viewer, good friend of the show at this point.
It's 2 very well questions.
Okay,
great
so
questions.
And I'm really still kind of in between on this. I've been thinking about it since he sent it to me. But his first question is hardest platinum we've gotten. Saul, I feel like I know the answer to yours. Is it Sound Shapes?
It is.
I thought so.
Like, seriously, I hate that game.
God damn
there's too much. Like, the game was perfectly fine up until the nightmare levels or whatever they're called.
And see, and that's what it is that the platinuming made the game worse.
In a way. Incorporated in a side-scroller game like that, you should never have RNG, and there was too much RNG. There were things that you had to wait for the level to spawn properly. So, like, I got that.
You can't learn it.
I reinstalled that game twice. I was chilling out. I was listening to some really, really old Game Over Greggy stuff. Playing it, got so mad I deleted it. I'm like, I'm not getting this platinum. I told myself I'm not doing it.
Fuck it.
Like a day later, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna download it again and try it again.
I'm proud of you, man. You didn't let the game beat you. What I'm probably gonna say is mine. I didn't let Terraria beat me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Need to get that.
We talked about it a lot. I didn't think I was ever gonna get that platinum.
I'm very surprised too because I thought we were. I just thought it took people because of the pumpkin raid or whatever it was.
We had number of people so we can get enough people.
Yeah,
I'm proud of us for doing it.
Well,
because a lot of it's like pet stuff was really hard.
Stupid rainbow slime.
And man, I have people asking me to help them get this platinum. I'm about to be gone for a week and a half, so well.
Sorry.
Or a week, not a week and a half, but you know. Let's see. So I say that's probably mine. The most annoying platinum I've gotten is Mod Nation Racers because that game had so much stuff beyond my control. And that was just the user stuff. So when you kill the game late, it's near impossible to get that game.
That's not a second question, by the way. That's just us inputting stuff. Because I thought that at first you were talking about that's the second question.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So,
most annoying platinum.
And actually, I thought that when he first sent it to us as well, I was like, clarify, do you mean a game that was so hard to platinum that we just put it down?
Yeah.
But that's not what he meant. So a game we had to put down. And, actually, I struggle to figure out how I want to take this question. Is it a game that you love so much, but you just have to put it down because it's getting in the way of other games?
No, I think it's just open-ended. I think it's a game that you just had to put down because you weren't enjoying it, or you had to put down for another cause, and just you just had to put down.
I can see that. I've had to put games down before.
I think you might know what mine is.
I feel like The Witcher, which you're playing right now.
Yeah, so I tried really, really hard to enjoy this game. I actually tweeted about it earlier this week. I wanted to love the game. I think that game has some of the best sound direction in an RPG. When you're standing in the middle of woods and you have your headset on and you hear all of the leaves blowing and you hear the rain, and when you run, your boots are sloshing. I think that's the best sound I've ever heard in the game. The environments are gorgeous. Now, as for somebody who never played the first two, I couldn't care about the story. I couldn't tell. Like, they weren't very clear on what was happening in the world. They were talking about the Nilfgaardians and stuff.
I didn't play the first one, but I played the second one.
Well, see, like, let me ask you this.
A lot of people didn't play the first.
So the North are against the Nilfgaardians, and the Nilfgaardians are kind of like the Nazis in this game. Right? They're kind of just overwhelmingly war-hungry.
To be fair, that's not really the parts of the game that I'm going to remember, and I beat that game.
That's
I beat that game the week Kyrie was born, so it's been 2 years, and I played a lot of games since then. But yeah, I mean, there's a war happening between two empires, and one of them is Ceres.
It doesn't really go back into
Ceres'
explaining.
Empire. Yeah. And then I can't remember if I can remember his name. I want to say Radagast, but that's fucking
That's
Lord of the Rings.
Hobbit, yeah. Hobbit. Or, well... They put that in the... Is it Hobbit? I can't...
It is Hobbit. They put him in the Hobbit movie.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good. So
I don't think he's in the Hobbit in the book. I could be wrong.
Actually.
I can't remember.
That shit starts to bleed together.
There's too many things in those that lead up. But yeah, like I really, really want to enjoy it, and I just over the course of this past week, I've been spending about an hour to a day playing, kind of just going slow, doing side quests and stuff. And the first time I played it, I was getting really annoyed at the fact that I was told to, go here to talk to this guy, then go here to talk to this girl to get the herb, then go to this guy to talk to get the, or to examine the griffin, then go back into your partner, then go kill the griffin.
I don't remember it being that ridiculous.
Yeah, like in the very beginning, the tutorial mission where you had to fight the griffin, you had to go to, and this is really nitpicky, but you had to go to the one of the Nilfgaard barracks and talk to a guy. Then he told you that there's a herbalist and then there's a hunter. You have to go talk to them too. Then you have to go back to your friend or have to go back to him. I can't remember.
Let's not spend too long on it.
Yeah, it's just I wanted to enjoy it, and I'm currently enjoying it. I just don't know if I'll put it back down again. So that's just something to look out for.
One of my other games I'm going to say two again on here because I've already mentioned it technically, but I did have to put down Diablo 3 on PC. I just couldn't keep going. But as far as a game on this side, I'm going to say, and me and you actually both did this, and you know how excited I was for the game, Star Ocean. And I liked it.
That is one for me,
It got to a point where I felt like, even though I liked it, I was like, I just don't love it. And it almost seems like work.
I can't remember what it was. I remember talking to you about it, though. There was a weird quirk with that game. It was a visual quirk.
I think it was something to do with the walking animation.
Yeah, like where it was almost either a ghosting effect or like your foot looked weird, and it kind of just threw me through a loop. I didn't like it.
The animations were a little weird. The game was really pretty. I actually liked the art.
It was, yeah, it was.
And that was a big step up for them. So next one we had comes from Don.
Thank you, RJ Loki.
Twitter handler at Scissorhands88. And he says, do you think we will see, or he wants to know, do you think we will see a new SOCOM at E3?
No.
And I've been thinking over this for a little while.
I want to. I really love the SOCOM games.
I don't know. What's going on with me right now is in my mind, I feel like I haven't seen enough examples of Sony closing down a studio and then continuing the franchise with another developer. And that doesn't mean anything. I'm really interested in a lot of dormant properties at the moment. I would like to see Resistance come back, and there's been a little bit of rumors that Resistance 4 may be at E3. But I'm not getting my hope up because much like SOCOM, Resistance was always Insomniac, and then they dropped. They decided 3 was going to be their last one, and then there was the PSP one in between 2 and 3 that came out. That was the guys over at Bend who are developing Days Gone, and they developed the PS Vita Uncharted game.
Right.
And then they had, I can't remember the name, Nihilistic or something like that, made the PS Vita one. And while it wasn't a terrible game, it definitely
Burning Skies.
Yeah, it definitely did not live up to the rest of the series in terms of quality. But it's been so long since we've seen a Resistance game, 2011 to be, or technically 2012 or 12. It was a launch game for Vita. So it's been since 2012 since we've seen one. So I don't know. SOCOM's kind of in that similar boat. We haven't seen a SOCOM since SOCOM 4 for the PS3. That sounds right. I really thought Confrontation was a cool game, but with Zipper being closed down, it's really hard to say, man, because the only thing, since they've closed down Studio Liverpool, the only thing we've seen from Wipeout is the collection coming, and that's not a new game. So maybe you'll see maybe, and a lot of people didn't love SOCOM 4, though. Maybe you'll see a SOCOM HD of some form. A lot of people really want 2. And that's a way for Sony to get goodwill from a franchise and then also see if there's interest. And I think that might be something they do, is gauge interest based off of any kind of a remaster they put out for them to make a new SOCOM. Now, who will develop it is a really big question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Well, and I think that with Wildlands being a thing, I don't think SOCOM would do that well financially. I think
it would. Very different games.
No, they are, but I still think that people who are digging that third-person war game, they're going to go to Wildlands. Now, I would go to SOCOM.
Man, there's some really rabid fans of SOCOM.
I know. Like, the multiplayer for that game was great.
Because 4 didn't look good to me, but I absolutely loved Confrontation.
What was 2? Bravo?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Something. 2
and there was a lot of SOCOM
great.
games for the PSP. I would be interested to see if they end up coming out with SOCOM games in general on moving forward, if it's HD remakes or whatever.
I really want them to. I just don't think it's something that's going to happen.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. It's not a franchise I consider dear to my heart, but I definitely had some good times with it.
Yeah, that's about the same opinion for me.
I mean, man, really, I thought Confrontation was just a
that was
different game.
That was the PS3 one, right?
Yeah, and it was online only. $40 came out, but you could also buy it for $60 with a Bluetooth headset. That game was awesome.
That was one of the ways to get the Bluetooth headset on PS3.
Yeah, I think
one of the first
if I'm not
ways.
mistaken, I brought it over to Ed's, and me and Seth played. I think you played it that night too.
Very possible.
Really fun.
It's very possible.
So that's it for Reader Mail. So I
that's
guess
it for episode 10.
I don't think that we have anything else to talk about. So yeah, that's it for episode 10. Hope you enjoyed it. I know, like I said, it's a little bit of a different touch. We try and do topics that are a little more, based around gaming industry and stuff. But these personal topics are fun, and it's a little easier to do when we have a lot of stuff going on. So, we didn't want to not record. And I felt like this is the best in-between way to do it. We want to make sure we always have an episode out when we say we're going to have an episode out. So you'll always have something to listen to. So I will say you can catch us on YouTube. New episodes Monday to 12 p.m. CST, 10 a.m. PST on the YouTube. And then also on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music in audio-only format. So
listen to these new rich mics while you're at it.
Yeah. Listen to my smooth voice. Actually, I've been feeling like I'm a little hoarse lately. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not. But until next time, Triangle Squared.
Episode 10.
Thank you.